July 15th, 1983 wasn't a pleasant day in Tokyo. It was a stormy day, the kind that you often get in midsummer. But for those kids who ventured out to their toy stores, they'd find on the shelves a brand new system from the biggest arcade game manufacturer around. There were even ports of their most popular games available. And those kids bought Sega SG-1000s. But the other big arcade manufacturer to release a console that day was Nintendo. The Famicom had a rocky start. A serious hardware defect rendered most of the first systems out the door inoperable within a few weeks. Nintendo had to have a product recall, an enormous warranty repair issue. It cost the company a lot of money and nearly put them out of business that year. But the Famicom also became the hottest toy in Japan in 1983. In a year that started with exactly one console available on the Japanese market and ended with 8, the Famicom was the one that survived. 3 games were available for the Famicom on launch day: Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., and Popeye. Given that Donkey Kong is very much the foundation of Nintendo's success, it's the place that we have to start when it comes to talking about Famicom games. I'll be honest, the need to talk about Donkey Kong is the thing that's delayed me from starting this project. I've been planning it for well over a year, trying out different ideas in my head, different ways that I could show off some weird old games. And I kept coming back to chronologically going through the catalog. But there was Donkey Kong right at the start. One of the most popular and important games ever made, and something that everyone has talked about. If you're willing to watch a video series about a guy going through the Famicom library, odds are you are extremely familiar with Donkey Kong. You know about Shigeru Miyamoto, you know about Jumpman, you know about the Universal lawsuit. There isn't a whole lot to say about Donkey Kong because so many people have said so much about it. But let's zoom in tight on the Famicom version and take a look at what it offered. This classic game and foundation of the platformer genre has Mario climbing a construction site in order to rescue his friend Lady from the clutches of the gorilla Donkey Kong. And I do mean Mario, not Jumpman. The manual of the Famicom version does give his name as Mario, although Pauline has yet to get a distinctive name. Donkey Kong throws barrels down, launches girders, and has fireballs that follow Mario around. Mario's options are to jump over them, grab the hammer to smash them, and knock out rivets to collapse the structure on Donkey Kong. Along the way, he can collect some of Pauline's lost items for extra points. The Famicom version squishes the playfield down to fit television screens, and removes one of the 4 stages that are in the arcade game. That 4th stage, known as the Cement Factory, is not commonly seen in the US arcade version because you have to clear 7 stages before you see it. The US arcade version rearranged all the stages so that even the elevator level didn't appear until the 4th level. With only 3 screens in the game, let's walk through them one by one. The ramp stages are the most technical and interesting of the 3. Donkey Kong starts the stage by launching a barrel down into the oil, which catches it on fire, and that fireball can pursue Mario, but it will not move up beyond the 2nd ramp. Another concession to players is that the barrels will drop down either by going off the end of the ramps or down ladders, but they won't go down ladders if Mario is at the top of them. Mario can sit there forever, safe, without a barrel going into him. In the arcade version of Donkey Kong, and in some other home ports, it's possible for Mario to die on this stage by walking into Donkey Kong. He can't do that here. There's a small platform that prevents you from getting close to the monkey. There's also a bug on the ramp stage that will let you complete it very quickly. If you go to the ladder at the end of the first platform, and instead of climbing up it, you go down, you'll descend from the top of the screen. You have to be standing on a specific pixel in order for this to work, but it's a good way to get by everything. Another interesting glitch worth mentioning on these stages is that if you jump over a barrel as it goes down a ladder, it will score it as multiple jumps over the barrel. This is a sneaky way that you can rack up a lot of points. Moving on to the elevator stage, this is a good place to demonstrate how Mario behaves differently from later platformers. In a lot of early platformers, you could die by falling too far, and there's plenty of opportunities here for that to happen. There's a trick for clearing this stage quickly as well, although it's more skillful play than bug. It's possible to jump up to the elevator as it descends and then jump again immediately to get to the steps on the far side. If you get down onto the ground and try to touch the bottom of the elevator, you'll die even though there's nothing there. I've always found that handbag in the upper right kind of tricky to get. The fireball always seems to hover around it on me. But you can lure it down and then quickly jump over to get it. Finally, let's look at the rivet stage. The fireballs here can be jumped over, but in my experience it requires a great deal of precision. I find it much easier to run around and just get the rivets knocked out to drop Donkey Kong on his head. No clever tricks to this one, though I'll point out that if you knock out this rivet and then pick up the hammer, you're probably not going to be getting a lot of points. You can run into Donkey Kong on this stage, the only place in the game that you still can. After Donkey Kong takes his big fall, the whole thing just loops again with the difficulty increased. If you select Game B from the title screen, it actually starts the game at the difficulty of the second loop. The Famicom version of Donkey Kong was the best home port of Donkey Kong to that point. Nintendo licensed out the Donkey Kong arcade game to other game companies in the United States, but none of those ports were released in Japan, and none of them showed the same quality as Nintendo's own port. It's still a good way to play this classic arcade game. That's it for the game itself, but there's still more to talk about. Donkey Kong is the first game in the Pulse Line series. The first few Famicom releases came in a consistent trade dress, where they had this pulse symbol on the cartridge. Eventually, some of these games were re-released in what's called the Silver Box series, where the label was changed so that the picture on the label was the same as the picture on the cover. The back of these original boxes was nothing special. There are no screenshots, just a small block of text describing the game. The price I listed on the data card was for 3,800 yen. That was not the consistent price for this game throughout the Famicom's lifetime. A few years later, Nintendo raised the price on cartridges to 4,500 yen. Finally, since we're just starting out, I want to point out something on the cartridge label. Almost every Famicom cartridge has a code on it to indicate what cart it is. This code is 3 letters to indicate the manufacturer, a dash, and then 2 letters to indicate the game. There's one exception to this, but we'll cover that once we reach it. That's it for me, and we've started our journey through the Famicom library. I'll see you next time.